everybody. Welcome to Plausible Deniability. I'm Michael Cross.
Johnny Payne.
And
what's happening?
Brooke Bullock. Where are you,
Brooke? Brooke who? Brooke who? Never heard of her.
I have to count him tardy.
What does she look like?
He should be here soon. So, hope everyone's doing okay.
I'm excited, for those of you who are local and watching this, about the freaking weather. What's happening?
Brooke Bullock. Now, I sound...
Brooke?
I'm not sounding good here.
Brooke who? Brooke who? You don't sound good here?
I have to count him tardy.
What does she look like?
Wait, maybe I'm just listening on the wrong headphones.
We have Shenanigans Unplugged in the chat. I'm excited. Whoa, I hit the wrong button somewhere. About the freaking weather. Michael, talk. Is someone saying your name? Okay. You don't sound good here? Can anybody hear Michael?
I guess maybe I just don't have it up on enough. I don't know.
We have Shenanigans Unplugged in the chat.
Hopefully everyone's hearing me okay. If not, let me know. So, yes, weather.
Whoa, I hit the wrong button somewhere. Yeah, very excited. I love strong winter storms. So it gets me through the summer. Looking forward to the strong winter storms. Yeah. Can anybody hear Michael?
I can't stand any cold. So even today was unpleasant.
Today was 60 like spring. Today was like May.
It was cold. It
Ah.
wasn't that bad. I actually drove home from work with my window down, just kind of enjoying the weather because I knew it was going to be bad real soon. So
They say we have an echo.
we shouldn't have an echo.
Today was 60 like spring. Is Michael like picking May. Up me? Ah. No.
I actually drove home. No, I sound like I am forever far away. Let's see if I just turn myself up a bit here.
Is someone telling you that, or you just hear yourself?
No, I'm just listening to myself.
Oh.
So, and unfortunately,
there's your earbud.
So
I didn't see your earbud. Shh, there he is.
Okay. Finally.
Act like we were talking about the weather or something.
I know. I can finally do something about it.
Andrew says that it may be fixed now. Yeah, it's the YouTube channel that's slowing you down.
Okay.
Curtis says on the phone we're coming through loud and clear. He also says Bo shutta. So the computer of Michael's not coming through. Well, your computer's broken, Curtis. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, now,
probably some lag. So we've been getting lag on the interwebs here at home and also in the office at work. Getting weird.
I think it's the cold weather.
Oxygen is weird lately in the metro. I don't know if it's the cold weather.
I blame cold weather.
What the deal is? Says on the phone we're coming through loud and
Michael's
clear.
whispered. Yeah, see, that's what I'm having here too.
So the computer
turn me up even more. So here we go.
Computer's broken. I think Curtis is flirting with you when he says you're like a whisper to him. So
I pull myself up just. Gosh, that's almost cranked all the way up.
Yeah.
I wonder if it did something.
What the deal is?
Hey, Brooke, are you there?
There. Oh, that Brooke. I know who you're talking about now.
Yay! Oh, there you are.
I think Curtis is flirting with you when he says you're like a whisper to him.
Okay, I've just cranked myself all the way up, and I'm just now. I mean, I'm still. Golly.
I was listening. I was in the chat room on my way as I.
Okay.
You just can't find a phone booth anymore.
I wasn't late. I was in the parking lot. I was in the parking lot on time.
Okay, I've just cranked myself all the way up, and I'm just now. I mean, I'm still.
What's happening, Brooke?
Wearing the different hats like so many of us do. We had role play club at the thing tonight, and
right there.
That whole like in loco parente thing where you just can't leave the kid until you know they're safely connected with someone else. I'm a little late because I pretend to care about children, so. Anyway, had to wait for someone's mom, but we made it.
You just leave. They'll be fine.
Chaotic neutral Brooke would totally leave.
I have a rule with kids. Once they're old enough to work the microwave, they're on their own. You're done.
That's you no longer have to worry about them.
That's it. You know.
I pretend to care about children. My mom, it's a grog nerd, right? But so my mom actually taught us how to do mac and cheese. Just because there were times, working mom, in which on Saturdays we needed to be able to have food more than just a sandwich or whatever, maybe. And so, yeah, that was my first thing to learn how to do, was to make mac and cheese on the stove. My mom,
that's
a grog nerd, right? But so
that's beyond my level.
Taught us how to do mac and cheese. Kids these days, and they're all hot pockets and cheese in a bowl. That's back in my day, it was like fire.
Don't knock the hot pockets.
That's right. Okay, hopefully my voice should be to normal.
Yeah.
Yay!
I don't know how it all got turned down. Yeah. Now I need to turn that. I think it's a little, maybe too loud. But
you get a little hotter.
There we go.
But I think you're fine. There you go. Don't knock the hot. Your audio got hotter.
That's right. Okay, hopefully my voice should be. Yes, there we go. Okay, now I can turn the mute off. All right. So, Brooke, how do you feel about the weather? Oh, hey, have they closed Edmond schools yet?
Of course not.
Good, because I got to tell my wife if they do.
Of course not. They're going to wait until the last possible. I think all teachers kind of feel this way about their place of work, their district. But it seems like Edmond always waits until like everybody else has made a choice before they make a choice, right? You know, so, but I tell you what, Tuesday was dicey in Edmond. Like, I got to Edmond. I live outside of Edmond. I got to Edmond regular time, but then the basically 10-minute trip on into the school where I work took me 35 minutes. Yeah. So I was like 40 minutes late for work, so.
See, and when I was going into work that morning, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. It was just starting. So it was a nice drive down and nice little flurries of snow. There was nothing really big. And then all of a sudden I was hearing that Edmond streets are being closed. And so Curtis, the echo is gone and Curtis kind of misses it. Sorry. I think we fixed it.
Speaking of Echo, have you guys heard the buzz on the new show Echo?
Watch the first 2 episodes.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah.
Don't look at the chat. Neither one of you look at the chat.
Yeah.
What? That's like saying don't think about pink elephants.
Yeah.
So.
What's funny is like half of the cast from Reservation Dogs.
Yeah. It's very Oklahoma connected. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, even though it's filmed in Georgia.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's filmed in Georgia.
Which
Georgia's
I want to know.
Canada. Everything used to be filmed in Canada. Now it's all about Georgia.
Right.
They offered incentives.
You see that little Georgia Peach logo as the credits roll?
And I think they've got some kind of deal with Disney Marvel. I think that's what it is because I see them almost every time. And I mean, Oklahoma tried to do it, and then you had some of the Republican lawmakers who said, "Oh, we don't want to give free money away so they stopped doing it," and then they finally started put it back in, and now people are doing it again. But it's too late. All the other big movie studios have gone other places, so we get lucky when things like you get Killers of the Flower Moon or Reservation Dogs when they we want to shoot in Oklahoma, but it's not the first choice.
Yeah. And I'm always interested, let's say, this is way back, but let's say, Dances with Wolves. I get South Dakota, Oklahoma Prairie. I get that. But where in Georgia does it look like Oklahoma? Or maybe they're thinking Eastern Oklahoma where there's trees?
Well, Eastern Oklahoma is actually very hilly.
Yeah.
And I think with today's technology, you can make any place look like anywhere.
Oh yeah.
So
their shows are set in Seattle. They're filmed in L.A. and they just use stock footage of the Seattle skyline.
Yeah.
Here and there and stuff, and for the people who don't live in either one of those 2 towns, you're convinced that they're in that town.
Yeah.
I remember there was, what was it? Something, Anne Rice. I think it was something with the Interview with the Vampire film and
Yeah.
where it was filmed and something. And I was in New Orleans talking to a local there about her house, and she gives tours and everything when she was still with us. And I said something about the scene that was filmed there or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, that entire thing was filmed like in these two remote locations that weren't anywhere near this part of the country. And yeah,
I mean that's just how it happens, and because for one thing, it's got to be easy to access, easy to film. You can't worry about noises and people doing whatever it is that. So that's, I think Georgia has set up sound stages for Marvel and for Disney, and so
yeah. And once they have that investment, that's where they're going to keep filming until something weird happens, right?
Yeah. And every time we've tried to build sound stages, like they're trying to build a sound stage at Cox. They had a sound stage at Cox Center, and they went, oh well, now you got to tear that down because we're going to build a new Thunder Arena. So
right,
yeah.
When you had that going, so hey, not to cross the streams a little bit, but speaking of new production studios and things, is there anything you can share with us in your other life about?
Yeah, well, okay, so KOSU is moving, in case you hadn't heard, and this is not a secret. We are moving. We're apparently still going to be in Film Row, which is weird because it's like 5 to 6 blocks west, but it's still considered Film Row, even though like it's on the other side of Class and Western. Yeah, but
now are you upper Film Row or lower Film Row or just
Western Film Row? I think is what it would be considered. I don't know if there's an upper or lower.
East Egg, West Egg. I didn't know if there's like a wash.
Yeah,
you know?
We're the West End girls. No, we're going to be moving. We were supposed to move in February, but it looks like it's actually going to be more like probably April, which is fine. I think it's just about having our own space. It's going to be, which we will share with the Spy. So
it's so cool. So
if anybody has ever, Film Row is massive. It used to be, we used to call it Skid Row, but then they cleaned it up. So
yeah.
Very, very
exciting.
Really
cool.
And that's where they'll have
we'll have to do a video tour of it and
Yeah.
put it on Discord for everyone. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. I have them once in a while.
So, Johnny, have you seen the new Echo show at all?
So I watched the first one, like kind of, here and there. I don't want to say while I was working in case my boss was watching, but I loved Echo in Hawkeye and was really looking forward to it. And then there's the comic book purists, and then there's the pretend comic books didn't exist and MCU is it,
Right.
And some of that's okay, and some of that's not. I like Echo's powers in the comic books way better than what they're going to do for the show.
Mm.
And that was, I really dig it. So in the comics, for those who don't know, she can echo who she's fighting. So if she's fighting Spider-Man, she can jump high and stick to walls, etc. If she's fighting Captain America, she can have speed and strength and regenerate.
Oh, like Taskmaster, basically.
So, yeah, Taskmaster-esque, and it makes for really, really compelling fight scenes.
Yeah.
So in the Disney Plus version of it, she echoes the memories of her ancestors, who either had a variation of the power or were like just really good hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So they were really good at tracking and using a bow and arrow or something, which is it's cool. It's on theme, and it's not that I dislike that. I just like, oh man, that would be really neat.
Yeah.
I probably will end up watching it because I really liked her portion of Hawkeye, and I really love Vincent D'Onofrio in general, but also as Kingpin.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about first episode is it's basically the origin story kind of mixed in with what we saw with Hawkeye. So it was kind of like a flashback, but So I really enjoyed. I don't know Echo. It's one of the few Marvel characters I don't know anything about. So
for you, whatever happens will be really neat.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I love the fact that it is Choctaw. I think that already the Choctaw tribe in Oklahoma is celebrating the fact that we have a Choctaw character, and basically dealing with her own Choctaw heritage, and it's it although it is a fictional Oklahoma town, it does take place in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Just it is not filmed in Oklahoma, but at least, and again, half the cast from Reservation Dogs is in it.
And there's kind of an interesting Marvel tie there, because in Loki we have Sylvie popping into Oklahoma town, and I really thought
Brock's in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really
Disney
thought
and Marvel love Oklahoma.
they do. And there was the whole Thor comic for a while that was set, kind of with the Heavner runestone and that kind of thing. And so when I saw that in Sylvie, I was like, oh my gosh, they might do like some weird variation of Lady Thor, for that series in, as an offshoot. That's not where Loki 2 went. Season 2 went at all. But I'm kind of wonder if is there someone on the staff? Does someone's grandma live in Oklahoma? And then they're always whispering in people's ears, Oklahoma's a great spot. I mean, it shows up a lot.
I don't know if it shows up as much, more the fact that since we live here, whenever it shows up, you immediately, for example, the very first episode of Star Trek Enterprise was called Broken Bow.
Yeah,
Broken Bow, because it took place in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, which is down in southeast, down in the McCurtain County.
Right.
And so, I think it's also, and I remember once when a Supernatural episode was
several. There was a Tulsa all the time in Supernatural.
Yeah. So but also fictional towns in Oklahoma. So I think maybe it's just like I said. If I lived in Nebraska, I think every time they would mention Nebraska, I'd probably go, it's Nebraska. I don't know.
I wonder if it's like they think to themselves, what's a small state that would have a small town that nobody would point at the TV and go, that's not what that place looks like. And so Oklahoma.
Well, and that's
I would go with Cleveland, Ohio myself.
Although the Supernatural folks did nail Tulsa, because it's just weird.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also, I think Oklahoma is one of those things, like, for example, Nebraska is almost too rural. Do you know what I'm saying? At least Oklahoma is somewhat close to Texas and Dallas, to where you could kind of go, they might have a little bit of more stuff that you could bring in. And
you
kind of
saying you don't ride your horse to work, Michael Cross? Are you modern?
Unfortunately, there are people, I'm sure, who believe that there are still.
Truly had a friend in high school who went to NYU on an acting degree, an acting scholarship, and she we'd contact each other once in a while and stuff, and she'd write letters, and so that her college roommates were sitting around one night asking her how many horses she owned.
That's awesome.
And and various things about Oklahoma that's just Old West, like all that dust blowing around, doesn't it get really terrible when it rains? And it's like, no, it's just like when it rains here, it hits the asphalt and bounces off of it.
That's right. It depends on where you're from. There are places where my son has horses and chickens and
well,
ducks and geese better scurry when I take you out on my Surrey, but. Anyway, so let's do trivia real quick, because we haven't done that yet.
Enough about Oklahoma trivia. Let's do some D&D trivia.
D&D trivia. All right. So, is everyone ready? Y'all ready out there?
That's right.
Okay.
Andrew's here.
Better slide that bar up to speed, right? You don't want like the 3-minute delay.
Yep.
That's right. So who we got here? We got all we got is Andrew, Curtis, and Hal. Goodness. Woo. Okay. Well. There we go.
It'll be a tough competition.
Fortunately, I think I picked the medium card, so you guys should be able to do this one. Here we go. So magic and miscellany. Here we go. If you attack with an ego whip and defend with a tower of iron will, What rare mental ability are you using? If you attack with an ego whip and defend with a tower of iron will, what rare mental ability are you using?
Huh.
I feel like even though Johnny covered his mouth, I could feel the sarcasm slipping through your fingers. Like
You don't even know me. You don't even know me at all, Brooklyn Eugene Bullock.
Great, now people know my password.
And I was thinking as I was editing this past episode, one of the past episodes, is there's this thing that's going on with Johnny, Brooke, and I that after 3 years of working together, that we're sinking, and it's
we're sinking.
We're sinking.
What the?
Not sinking.
Not
sinking. Sinking.
I remember in the first campaign, Michael Cross, there were so many times where you and I would just look at each other.
Oh, I know. And that's why I say it's gotten worse, though. I think it's just the.
No, Michael, it's gotten better.
True.
What's the answer to the question?
All right. Let's see. That's a. You know what? See, Andrew sort of got it, kind of, right? But Curtis actually spelled it correctly.
And I'm going to agree with that because Andrew saw his mistake and came back and doubled down on it.
Cyclone click. So we're going to go to Curtis. Curtis.
They made fun of on the internet, Andrew.
Psionics.
Woo!
It is psionics. So we're going to you, Curtis.
On your side, that was just mean.
Yeah. It was just a matter who got there first. I'm really surprised we don't have Ruffles in here yet. All right.
Somebody wake him up.
Yeah. Okay. History.
Right. Woo!
History. What female artist illustrated the somewhat risque cover of the 1976 Eldritch Wizardry? What female artist illustrated the somewhat risque cover of the 1976 Eldritch Wizardry?
You know, we just lost a female. We just lost a female artist and contributor to D&D from back in the TSR days.
The map maker.
What is her name? Someone's probably
We
shouted.
just lost it, and somebody died.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me look at her name.
I don't think it's the same person that did the cover. I think she.
Janelle something. Yeah, I don't think it's the same person that did the cover, but it just reminded me of it. That's why I love Firefox. It keeps my tabs. Janelle Jaquays?
No, I don't know who that is.
So, yeah.
This name is actually, if you like the book here, Art and Arcana.
Yeah.
This woman is mentioned quite often. So if you have the book, there. Oh gosh, look at whoa, right? S. Jones.
Whoa, yeah.
Deborah Larson. Yep. So yeah, pretty big name. I think if I remember correctly, her story, and I think if you watch there's a documentary on the Art and Arcana that. She kind of, I think she's the one who just walked in and said, I want to start just doing some stuff for you. And Gary said, okay, start doing some stuff. And then slowly started paying her. And she was one of the big artists back then. So
that's awesome. I wasn't sure if it was the same. I wasn't sure if it was the same person or not, but she's just known as, I had to Google to make sure, but she's just known as Darlene. And she was like the famous World of Greyhawk map. Like, the green and yellow one. So, yeah. And I was pretty sure it was not the same person that did that cover, but I wasn't positive. So. Yeah. That's awesome. Deborah Larson. You know what's funny? As soon as I see Deborah Larson, I can see the little Larson swirl down in the bottom corner, right? Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. This one, I figured someone might be able to get it if you're a grognerd like us. Okay, monsters.
Let's go.
Monsters. What monsters' hideous visage appears on the Uriel card in the deck of many things? The Uriel card. I'm hoping I spelled that right. What monster's hideous visage appears on the Uriel card in the deck of many things? That's the Euryale. Euryale.
It's a combination of our ex-wives. It's all like a hodgepodge.
Do not want.
She's a super freak. She's super freaky. Now, S. Jones again. Boom. Medusa.
That's awesome.
That is amazing. S. Jones on fire.
Woo, woo, woo. If you bring the grog nerd, man, I tell you what, we got some folks. Don Mills, Curtis, S. Jones. We got some folks in the chat. Hal, of course, that, if you do the grog nerds, they're going to find you. So.
Yeah. S. Jones is on fire. Here we go. With adventures. Here's one, Andrew, you should be able to know this because this is a recent one. In the wild beyond the witchlight, characters seek to rescue the archfey Zybilna from what inert condition? In the wild beyond the witchlight, characters seek to rescue the archfey Zybilna from what inert condition?
You can tell we haven't done plausibility in a while because our witty, sarcastic banter of fake answers, we're a little slow tonight.
It is, yeah.
I'm trying to be nice.
Oh, okay, that's it. So for one of us, Johnny, he's made a New Year's resolution to be nice. He even covered his mouth so that the sarcasm didn't come out. Me, I'm just tired. I'm just trying to figure out something witty to say about,
I'm just tired and hungry.
See, I was thinking carbonite.
Fantastic answer. That's great. What's the chronic fatigue? That's what that is. Yes.
Yeah, and it's way too early in the year for that already. But I understand it. Yeah. Which is a fun one, by the way. If anyone's ever done Wild Beyond the Witchlight, it's a fun game. Got to be in it. Got to play in it, and yeah, you can go through the whole thing and never fight anything.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it, and the cover art's fantastic.
It's a lot of fun stuff. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, we've got Andrew hasn't run it, Dawn doesn't know it, neither is S. Jones.
Oh.
So
sounds like a game night.
There
Curtis,
we go. Sounds
Curtis
like some
is
people need to ask.
Curtis is chronic fatigue. That's like the worst superhero name ever.
Right.
I'm chronic fatigue.
When chronic fatigue and Echo fight, is it just like?
Yeah, just a cuddle puddle.
That's it.
Just a cuddle puddle.
I'm too tired.
Don Mills came in with psionics. Man, Don, your lag is awful.
What's the answer?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't think anybody knows, MC.
The funny thing is, Andrew is sort of correct, but the actual answer is temporal stasis.
Oh.
She's stuck in time, which is exactly what temporal stasis means. So, all right. Going to characters. Oh, I love this character. Pickle Boulder Shoulder, brother of the dwarf Ivan Boulder Shoulder, and a former cook in the Edificant Library, wears what object as a helmet?
We talked about it.
Pickle.
Sometime.
Pickle is without a doubt, and what's better is if you listen to the audiobook, the guy who's been doing the Driss novels forever, his voice for Pickle is so good and it is so wonderful. So, yeah. Make sure I got there. Yeah. There's actually more recently, Pickle Boulder Shoulder lost his arms. Yeah, it was horrible. He was doing this and chopped off his arms. It was, yeah. But he's such a lovable, fun loving character. He's like, meh.
So the next quest is to find an artificer. I mean, come on.
He's
man.
a druid.
Like,
He's a druid.
Oh.
He basically grew arms.
Ding ding. Very cool.
And a druid when Andrew got it. Yes, but I'll get to that in a moment. He was a druid written at a time when dwarves could not be druids.
That's awesome.
So
that's
in
awesome.
first edition, it's cooking pot.
Hal may have, depending on what you want to go with specificity, Hal may not to steal it from Andrew.
I think I'm going to go with Andrew because he got actually cooking pot, and actually
cooking pot.
Correct. Yeah, it is not just a pot; it is a cooking pot.
Not just pot.
It's not just pot. He doesn't just have pot.
Even
though he's a druid, even though he's a druid, he doesn't just have pot on his head. But
Hal, you were thinking of Radagast the Brown. So yeah.
So we will give that one to Andrew. Good. Yeah, Hal, you're right there. You're right there, and I think you might be able to get this next one. So here we go.
The Lord Michael Cross giveth, and the Lord Michael Cross taketh away.
There we go.
That's the judge.
Tika's underpants. Oh, that's fabulous.
I would, with a name like Boulder Shoulder, I'm not gonna lie.
That's true.
Garment was the first thing I thought of. So
yeah. Okay. Finally, we are going to cosmology. The powerful lich Zastam served. He served as the Zulkir of necromancy among the red wizards of which country in Faerun?
Oh,
I know.
My God.
Who's going to get it first? The powerful lich Zastam served as the Zulkir of necromancy among the red wizards of which country in Faerun? And I'm going to say we have to spell it correctly because there's a bunch of people who could get it right. So.
You asked who's going to get it first, and I think they are going to get it first.
I don't know. I mean, they have messed up a lot on their spelling tonight.
That's true.
They have.
So,
okay. So,
boom.
Should I wait till they capitalize it because it is a country? It is a personal noun.
You're just being mean.
Proper noun.
Andrew got it.
Michael Cross has come back lawful neutral, like hard. Does everyone know? Maybe
no.
Yeah. Andrew got that. Curtis. Them. Twee. Although
that was a fun
game.
Like
Hong Kong Twee.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's like,
yeah, that was a fun game. Andrew got 2. Stacy S. Jones got 2. Curtis snagged 1. We had 1 that we didn't know the answer to.
That's right.
So
very good.
Awesome,
very
right?
good. So, hey.
Yeah.
It's 2004. 224. It's not even 2004. It's 2024. No, I can't go back to 2004.
25.
If man is still alive.
But that's right. A few short weeks ago, planet Earth and Jesus both turned 2024 years old.
Yes.
Amazing.
Great job. Yep.
Well, we 2024. I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
I think the 24 is going to be a good year.
Lots of big things going on in the world of gaming.
Yeah.
D&D's anniversary. Warhammer Games Workshop is celebrating an anniversary this year also, and they are doing it by they're resurrecting an old game that they got rid of. Close to a decade ago.
Really?
They got rid of their fantasy version of Warhammer and replaced it with Age of Sigmar, a different lore and a little bit different setting and everything. The armies and factions were different. So they brought it back. They started on January 1st. They opened pre-orders for it, and the neat part of it is it's bringing back all those armies that don't exist, those factions that don't exist, but the minis are metal.
Oh wow! Like the Grenadier
back.
Like the
homage. Yeah, really, really neat.
With like the metal bases and everything.
Square bases.
Yeah.
Pretty neat deal. Lots of cool stuff happening.
What's the anniversary for Warhammer?
I think it's the like first store they ever opened.
No, but I mean, is it like 20, 30?
Oh, I don't know the number. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we do know, great. It is the 50th anniversary of D&D, 10th anniversary of 5th edition. And just amazing that it's been around for 50 years. I think even more amazing that I think it was only 6 years old when I first started playing it.
Wild.
I mean, yeah, maybe 7. I think it might have been 81. It was either 80 or 81.
The day it launched, huh?
No, gosh, no. I was only 5 years old.
Yeah, but look at it. Look at all that it survived. I mean, the going from chainmail to what D&D is through the creation and then the fall of TSR. Through the stigma of this is nerdy to let's just ignore it to the Satanic Panic to 4th edition, which actually in today, in current year, a lot of people are retrospectively looking at 4th edition going, not too shabby.
So it's how people are looking at the Star Wars prequels?
And such. Yes, yeah. It's like the prequels were like, what? And then now everyone's like, it's the most memed Star Wars ever. But yeah.
But yeah, it did to the idea that it has lasted as long as it has, and to where it is they finally put out a decent Dungeons and Dragons media.
Yes.
Not only now, of course, the video games have always been fairly good.
Oh yeah.
So I like Star Wars. Although Baldur's Gate has blown everyone away this year. No one expected this at all.
First Baldur's Gate blew everyone away.
Yeah. Which is why it shouldn't have been that big of a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, D&D video games, that's, I think, what people shouldn't be surprised about. Video games are based on what D&D started it.
Yes, right? Isn't that crazy that it's all of these things really developed out of this fantasy role-playing game, like not just Pong as a video game, but let's have a video game with a story.
A story, right? An RPG, yeah. Even though it was you tended to be a little bit more railroaded in video games, and it's very linear. It's still it mostly boils down to AC and hit points.
Yeah.
And your ability to hit and your ability to do damage, which all came from Gary Gygax.
Yep.
So it's just, Baldur's Gate, I think surprised people, which it really shouldn't have. It was phenomenal. But the Dungeons and Dragons movie, the Critical Role shows, I think people are really surprised. But it shouldn't surprise people, because if they know what D&D really is, that's the problem, is they don't know what D&D is. They think D&D is still a game being played by children in their parents' basement.
Right.
They don't understand that it is story.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that freaks people out about why they don't understand why comic book movies have made it so popular. If they're based off the comic book, it's just good storytelling. If it's good storytelling can work, whether it's sci-fi, fantasy, fiction, history. If it's a good story, it'll work.
Yeah.
And I think the D&D movie was a good story. Unfortunately, it came in a year when apparently Mario and Barbie were the big.
Yep. But at least we don't have to shamefully watch
the
newest D&D movie. We were with the first couple of D&D movies, we were kind of like drug addicts. We were like, I know it's poop, but it's all I've got.
I'll just put a little ranch on it, it'll be fine.
So I think the Baldur's Gate thing is, I think it's a big shot to a generation or two. I think, to like, it's like everyone's like, oh my God, Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing. I'm like, of course it is. Baldur's Gate 1 was amazing, and Baldur's Gate 2 wasn't too shabby. And so, duh. So, I've just been waiting for it to come out. I never doubted it. I waited 10 years. It was 10 years they announced it. 10 years ago.
Awesome.
I think as far as the imagination goes, I think it's. I mean, I see like it's used a lot for things. In schools and various types of healthcare, especially dealing with mental health. But I feel like as a society and with technology and such, we've lost a grip on teaching our youth or nurturing imagination.
Oh.
And I think that and there are so many people who are like, oh, I play D&D and I love it, and the storytelling is so great, it's so imaginative. And I'm like, well, come play with me. What's your character's name? And I know I've said this before on the show. Like, my character's name is Notebook Pencil Holder, because they can't think of a name. It's
right.
And I think it's because the phone, instant gratification, and 60-second videos. There's no big long haul. So many people who read or play D&D a lot. You hear that you hear a lot of writers who say, I spent my childhood playing D&D. I spent my childhood sitting around with 4 or 5 people making up stories and such. And I think it's a big tool that could be used. Yeah. For sure. That.
There's a great little 2-minute video from Ta-Nehisi Coates, who you might know. He not only wrote a great arc for the Black Panther comics, right? But has also worked with the New Yorker magazine and is award-winning author, multiple books, right? And there's a great little 2-minute video. If you Google him and Dungeons and Dragons, you'll probably find it, where he talks about, my first love of literature was looking through my brother's monster manual and getting sucked in to the world of D&D. And he basically says, that was the beginning of my creative outlet. Yeah. And you're exactly right, Johnny. Yeah, so that's cool.
And it has there've been now, what's really funny is there's now all these studies about how Dungeons and Dragons is helping in mental health. It's helping children with autism. It's helping children deal with get imagination, but also skills coping with people. And I already knew that. I already knew that was already that. So it's great that finally the studies are kind of catching up to the fact that how important Dungeons and Dragons is, how important the fantasy building, the role playing aspect. And it's not just Dungeons and Dragons. I love Dungeons and Dragons because I play Dungeons and Dragons. That's what I do.
I've heard of it.
But this is any role playing game. I don't care whether you're playing Call of Cthulhu, Vampire the Masquerade. Does not matter. If you're playing role playing games, then you are encouraging a child to increase their imagination, their storytelling. And I gotta say, my son, who turned 18 just last week, and he is going to college, and he is going to go into history. He's getting a major in history, and I think his love of history started because of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's cool.
So as much as I will say, my son started reading because of A, comic books, and B, video games.
Yeah.
If you're going to play video games, especially back in the olden days when there wasn't an actual voice, you had to be able to read. So when the NPC in the town tells you something, you got to be able to read that.
Even if it's that they loaded up us with the bomb.
That's right.
Yes.
Someone set us up the bomb. That was a localization issue. I think the Satanic Panic for me was the funniest because people were like, oh, you do that game where you worship demons? And I'm like, sir, I play a paladin. I kill demons. I fight for good and justice, and I protect the weak. And I don't know what game you're looking at, but I'm not messing around with demons. I'm destroying them.
I go down. Right. I go down to where they live, and I kill them.
I'm the hero, dude.
A paladin in hell.
A paladin in hell.
I know exactly which. Yep.
Yeah, and that's that's the problem is that it was so misconstrued. That whole, they was all based off of one missing student who was not actually ever missing. Yeah, he never actually went missing.
His character died, so he killed himself or something.
And no, it never happened. He left school, he left NYU but he went home. But
Yeah.
of course, we don't.
And back then, you couldn't get information at the speed
Right,
of light, so
right.
it took people a month for the next issue of Rolling Stone to come out for there to be an article that he was found.
Yeah.
He was just home chilling. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so in that whole time, the 700 Club and mainstream media grabbed it and said, "Oh, it's causing kids to worship Satan."
Yeah.
Okay, well, which then it's I think it had that stigma up until just about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When 5e finally came out and people went, "Oh, wait a minute. This can actually be played by anybody."
Yeah.
And it's just sitting around a table with your friends and having fun.
Yep.
In the chat, S. Jones brings up another thing that on the other end of the brainwave spectrum that D&D taught us. For him, it taught him math.
It did. It did. There are
still teaching us math around the table. A few of us we're still like...
It's still. I mean, it's not high level math, but let me tell you, again, when you're talking about kids who need to learn how to read, kids who need to have an imagination, kids need their basic math skills, and D&D does that.
I tell you.
So
we need to create a class like stories and statistics, and then have a D&D class in school. That'd be if you know a good math teacher, Mr. Cross, you should have her create some type of, I don't know. They don't have electives at her grade level, I don't think. So anyway,
yeah, I think that D&D, and again, I keep saying D&D, and I really shouldn't. Role playing, just in general, is just it's a wonderful tool, especially you're right, Johnny. In today's day and age, when technology has become so huge, the idea of sitting around a table, and whether that's a physical table or a virtual table, sitting around a table with your friends and having one person be a controller in any way, a game master, dungeon master, whatever it is, and not a computer, and have one person saying, "Yeah, so your character wants to go now go flirt with a girl at the bar. Great, okay, you're gonna go flirt with a girl at the bar. Oh, now you want to go up into the mountains and find some hermit that was mentioned that he's great. Let's do that. It doesn't have to be as railroaded sometimes as video games have to be."
That's true. That's very true. Hey, Johnny, a little while ago in chat, there was, the little bubble up about Guy Gax and Arneson and the development of that together. And we've talked in a couple past episodes about how I've been reading a couple history of D&D books that have been good. But you mentioned a title, Secrets of Blackmoor. I don't know. You said watch Secrets of Blackmoor? I don't know.
So it's on Amazon Prime. It is a documentary, and it is a lot of really great old photographs and old footage of Arneson and his crew playing a tactical miniature war game.
Right.
Wow. And over the course of the documentary, it shows this tactical miniature war game gets changed up where instead of one person is the judge for everyone, they get, your army gets a general, and you're playing the general. And so then you can start writing characters and backstories to the point that you give yourselves rank. And during downtime when they weren't playing, because it was like Wednesday, they would literally drive to each other's house and just knock on the door and lay a letter down on the porch and leave. And it was a letter that they handwritten. I have orders from the president that my army is going to blah, blah, blah. And so now you've got 3 more days to prepare, because in 3 days it's Saturday. And the other generals got orders from the president. And next thing you know, they're shrinking it down. And instead of saying your army is 100 dudes, it was like, but now you got this one person over here that's really good at espionage. And you got this one person over here that's really good at sniping. And this one has an ability. And oh, look. And then they started throwing in like supernatural elements. And you just basically watch this documentary and you watch this cold, bland miniature war game turn into something epic. And it's an amazing watch. There's not a lot of talk of Gygax in it because there's that whole thing back and forth where Gygax stole it. Was it Bill Gates' idea, or was it, you know what I mean?
Steve Jobs, yeah.
Silicon Valley movie where kind of thing. And then so it's unfortunate that happened because, but yeah, it is what it is.
Gary Gygax was about personality.
It's a great little documentary. If you already have Amazon Prime, it's great. It's a great watch.
Secrets. You said it's Secrets of Blackmoor.
I think so. Yeah.
Definitely want to check that out.
I could just search Blackmoor. Blackmoor I think Blackmoor was Arneson's.
It was 100% like his. In fact, it was really one of the first supplements that they did.
Yeah.
Blackmoor. Yeah. Secrets of Blackmoor: The True History of Dungeons and Dragons. It's a 2019 film, and I mean, there's shot. First of all, there's a lot of females in the shots and the old footage, and at the table playing. And so that's a big thing. Is it's like, wow, this was birthed with females at the table, and there was a part where they talked about when he started making handbooks for it because they started taking it to conventions.
Oh,
and they had there was a small convention at Lake Geneva, Wisconsin that ended up turning into a giant thing called Gen Con, but they couldn't just send it to the presses, and they didn't have tons of money. They all had day jobs and stuff.
Right.
I mean, it turned into, but it literally shows like husband and wife sitting down at a table, handwriting this stuff out.
Oh,
and like there are a few people that have that. You can go to the anytime you go to Gen Con, they actually have a thing called the Gary Gygax D&D Museum, and it's a room that has all these old artifacts in it from D&D's history. And like, yeah, if you look on this page, you'll see this smudge, and they tell you the story of like how a word got scratched out. And so, and jokingly, they would scratch it out in every version of the book. But they were like hand drawing stuff, and it was really, really interesting.
Oh, I'll check that out. I would really like that. The history of D&D is really fascinating.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And I mentioned before, but Dice. Oh, darn it. Anyway, I'll find it later and send it out. But Slaying the Dragon is the one that I'm currently reading. Game Wizards is the other. Slaying the Dragon, it's more readable, but doesn't go into the nuance as much. It's got some great stories, and the guy who did it obviously interviewed some people. It's a good read. The other book, the first one I read, called Game Wizards, it is really in depth, but it's kind of nonfiction-y, and you got to be a nerd to kind of get through that one, right? So, but both of those are really good. I want to see what Secrets of Blackmoor says because that sounds awesome, Johnny. Cool.
So what do you think? What are you looking forward to in 2024?
You mentioned, those anniversary things. Don Mills mentioned in the chat that it's the 25th anniversary. Did he say of
Everquest? Oh my God!
Oh yeah, yeah. They've announced. God, don't even get me started. Everquest's connection to D&D. Let me throw that at you real fast. So I was like Everquest in the '90s when it launched. Don, if you did too, hey, speak up. So. There, you could watch little. It wasn't a documentary or anything. It was just someone kind of put together some videos, and there's a book on it, I think. But it was there. It was a bunch of nerds, computer nerds, playing D&D, and it was like, man, if we could play this like online or something, that would be really cool. And then meanwhile, the other half of the table is like, man, we should really make a video game and make it huge and epic. And there's a book out there somewhere that shows the map of 2 or 3 of the classic zones in Everquest, and then it shows the hand-drawn maps they had at the table. They literally took their homebrew D&D game and turned it into Everquest.
Yeah.
And I played that. I played. It's ridiculous. I know the Drow language because of that game.
Yeah. I was never allowed to play those games because I would be just addicted. I would still be playing.
That's what I did. I got totally addicted.
Yeah.
I know people who have grandkids today, and they met in that game.
Yeah.
They met in that game. They got married. They had kids, and every once in a while on Facebook, And it's like, hey, we just had our first grandbaby. And I'm like, man, I remember going on raids with y'all, staying up till like midnight, talking with y'all about stuff. And yeah, it was really good. So the game's still out there. It still exists. They still launch expansions. Part 2 is out. A few years ago, they did try to make they were going to do a thing called Everquest Next. And then I can't remember what the other one was called, but they were going to release a game for free that was kind of like Minecraft. And you could build stuff that had a look of EverQuest, and then they were going to take those things that you built, like a giant temple or a building or even a city, and they were going to take those and put them into the next version of EverQuest. And the whole thing fell apart, and it was bought and sold 2 or 3 different times. Originally, it was a Sony game. But yeah, it's been announced that they're going to try and pull off a EverQuest 3.
There you go.
That'll be fun. I'm all for it.
Maybe some folks that were let go by Wizard of the Coast could come over and help with game development,
Yeah.
Like, man.
That game that had so many neat Easter eggs in it. So one of the main cities was called Quanos, which is Sony EQ spelled backwards. And there was a guard tower on either end of Corona, and one of them had the guard's name was Lars, and the other one's name was Ulrich, the drummer from Metallica, because they were Metallica fans. The tower at the other end of the road was guarded by a guy named James and a guy named Hetfield, the lead singer of Metallica. It was just there's just so many really cool things like that hidden throughout the game. It was really neat.
That's cool.
I'm done. I'll go on forever about EverQuest.
Yeah. So anyway, we've got there's going to be some some good movies, some good television shows coming up this year. We're gonna have a lot to talk about, and
it's gonna be awesome.
It is. We're with the 40th, 50th anniversary of D&D, with the 10th anniversary of 5e, with the new version of whatever it is they're going to be coming out. I know I'll be first in line to buy the Player's Handbook, DM's Guide, Monsters Manual trilogy, because I think it's going to be exciting. I like to see what we can do here at Red Dirt, to kind of celebrate that as well. So, because it will be our 4th anniversary.
Woo!
Coming up this July.
That's round number.
I know JP's got some things going on in that noggin, and if you've been listening to Plausible Deniability in the past, you might have had a peek about how we might be celebrating some of that growth from 74 until now. So,
hey, Ruffles is here.
Yeah. His druid in EverQuest was a taxi driver, he says in the chat.
Yeah, before people
got
lazy.
I don't understand that at all.
Before games got lazy and made travel instantaneous, the only way to travel in that game was to just start running. And if you were going from the main continent to a smaller continent, you had to run to a boat dock and wait for the boat to come by and get on it and hope you were paying attention, and then go through the zone and then get off of it. Yeah, or you're stuck. Or you could go to a druid ring or a wizard circle and hope somebody who plays a higher level wizard or druid was around. And if you begged them or gave them gold, or some people, if you just role played with them, they could cast spells that would teleport you across the game.
That's awesome.
That's very cool.
And now they make it where you just go to town and click on a bell and it takes you to the portal of knowledge and you just go up and click a button for whatever zone. Now it's all
it's all fast travel.
But before the plane of knowledge and before the travel bells, travel was serious in that game. You had to mean it if you were going to go somewhere.
So we're back to microwave macaroni again. In our day, we had to put on the pan, let the water boil, and to run across the continent if you really wanted to get there.
Now, in my day, when I was younger, every D&D game would start in a tavern.
Go on.
And Red Dirt D&D is returning to said tavern.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention this before we leave? Because we only got 1 minute left. The Blue Note. On February 25th, Tournament of Champions, Bruncheons and Dragons 3. They said it wouldn't last past 2. We did it. We're at 3. Bruncheons and Dragons 3.
I know for certain after Dungeons and Dragons 1, the Blue Note folks were like, we need to do that again.
And here's the thing. Last time, unfortunately, it was like 30 degrees outside and nobody wanted to leave. So we had a great audience, but it wasn't quite as big. So hopefully this is going to be February 25th. Hopefully the weather won't be so bad. But yeah, everybody, it's apparently on the calendar right now at Blue Note, which would be bluenoteokc.com or possibly okcbluenote.com. Not sure which one. Anyway, just Google Blue Note OKC, and you'll pull right up. We are looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think Mark he's got some fun ideas. We got some stuff going on.
I tell you what, that guy is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you throw him a couple of ideas and he puts them in his brain blender and then pours out like this Slurpee of entertainment that is just amazing.
Yeah,
you're kind of terrifying me.
and apparently Curtis Selby just quoted Gurgi from the Book of Three, Crunchings and Munchings. I'm not quite sure why, but
well, because Bruncheons and Dragons.
Oh, yeah, Bruncheons and Dragons, Crunchings and Munchings.
There we go. Right? Yeah.
Keep up, Michael.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, I'm actually kind of nervous and scared now because I followed that one.
That's right. You went there. All right. That's going to do it for us. We are so glad you're here with us. Make sure to check out, again, February 25th. We would love to see you. Make sure to check out other shows on this channel. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to have another Outtakes that's going to be launching from episode 61. Make sure to check out Mysteries of Beatrix, which just did Wednesday, and the Red Dirt Outlaws on Tuesday. So there's a lot of stuff going on here at the on our YouTube channel. So share it, let people know what's going on, and y'all are fantastic. In the meantime, I'm Michael Cross.
Johnny Payne.
I'm Brooke Bullock.
Yeah, and you guys, we'll see you in 2 weeks.